y'all. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk USC Women's Basketball, the podcast talking about all things USC Women's Basketball. And today, I am humbled and honored to have on here Jason Key. He is a national scout and he is affiliated with the McDonald's All-American Selection Committee, as well as Hoop Girls and SC Next. So we're going to dive into some things here. But first, a big welcome to Jason. Hey, Jason.
Hey, how we doing? Thank you for having me.
And no, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to have you on and talk hoops and dive into some conversation about the landscape of high school basketball and recruiting. But first and foremost, let's talk about the Saniyah Hall
Yeah.
confirmation that we got over at
Yeah, so
USC. What do you
big
think?
fish. Obviously, we got her number one on the ranking side of things, but I mean, electrically talented scorer, highly competitive, showed really well at U19s, playing an age up basically at the U19 World Championships. Actually, was MVP, and that had players on that team that there was college freshmen this year. You had to be 19 or under as of January 1st. But you had some college freshmen on there across not just on the United States teams, but also with the opponents. And she was an integral part, obviously, winning MVP of them winning
Yeah.
gold. And that was no given that the United States was going to win gold. Like that was without Saniyah, they probably don't. So that's as big a stage as you can perform on. So she backed up kind of what on the ranking side. She backed up that number one stuff, and uh, and then obviously when she comes back, she comes to USC, continuing what they've done here in the last 3 or 4 years, starting with JuJu Watkins, obviously, and then going to Kennedy Smith, and then Jazzy Davidson, and on it's gone, right? And so, yeah, the future's bright for USC basketball for sure.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I saw an article on ESPN that she had originally verbal to South Carolina. Was that just a
Yeah,
misinformation or what was that?
I think there was something to that. I wasn't part of that article, so that like I don't want to speak on something that I wouldn't as in terms of how true or not true it was, just because I wasn't intimately involved in that. But yes, there was a there there was more than just USC that thought they had her at one point or another type thing along her recruitment, and as in any recruiting space, it ain't over till the kid announces type thing. So no matter who it was or wasn't before, like obviously Lindsay and the USC staff closed the deal.
Yeah, that was a shocker for everybody because we knew she was visiting, but we didn't know that she was going to announce the next day. So,
I don't think anybody did. Yeah,
yeah,
from
that
what I picked up, I don't think anybody knew that was coming. I'm not even entirely sure that she knew that they were
yeah.
going to. I don't want to speak for her. I don't know that she did or didn't know for sure, but it doesn't feel like it was done until it was done.
Yeah. Now you know
Yeah,
what? She's only 16 too, right? She's
yeah.
16.
She just had her birthday, so she just turned 17.
She just turned 17.
Yeah,
I mean, and when I watch her game, when I broke down her film, I was like, because you really don't see how good a player is, in my opinion, until you break down the film. And when I broke down the film, I saw all types of things in her game that I was never looking at before. I mean,
yeah.
she's strong.
There's some juju elements to her in terms of a beyond the film, loving the big moments and big shots. Uh, we had a tournament, just a normal tournament earlier in the year that was back and forth with her program. Legends U, shout out to Bryce McKee, the guy that's he's been leading Saniyah since her junior high days.
Mm.
Coached her all the way through Ohio, and there's a really good program out of Atlanta, Georgia area called FBC, and Legends and FBC got in an excellent game, and she hit a game winner that kind of went viral on social media at the buzzer, and that's a little bit of who she is, right? She loves the big moments. She loves like the hugely competitive moments, much in the same way of Juju.
Yeah.
There's similarities there in terms of their mental makeup. Uh, but no, yeah. To your point, there's nothing she can't do. You're talking 6'1", 6'2", versatile. She can handle it. She can shoot it. She can create for others. She can rebound. She can defend. there's no hole in the game. She's pretty versatile and pretty uh, complete in her arsenal.
with a lot of upside, you
Oh
know.
yeah, for sure, for
So
sure.
my next question to you is, how do you think she's going to fit in with that
It's gonna
foursome?
be interesting, right? So like outside looking in, and we're talking, we think Juju's out for the year. I don't want to speculate on that either. We'll see where that
Yeah,
goes. Looks like she'll probably sit this year after the injury, and then come back next year. So when you talk like as of today, where the roster is today, I know they're still recruiting, and then obviously you'll have a portal season in between, possibly, and all that too. But as we stand today, you have the big four with Juju and Kenny Smith and Jazzy Davidson and then Saniyah. And so, who's going to be point guard? Like they don't have a traditional point guard, so I would assume that's going to be a little bit of Jazzy and a little bit of Juju.
yeah,
Uh, and then the five obviously would be the completion. So this is a big year in terms of development for USC basketball, and seeing if they have national championship worthy five this year. Not that they're gonna be hugely competitive this year. Like Kara Dunn, who you got from Georgia Tech, London Jones, who you got from UCLA. Like they're gonna be, even without Juju, they're gonna be extremely dangerous this year. And as Jazzy gains, obviously she was last year's number one. Uh, as she gains experience, you got to watch for them in spring. But the whole, or the question, not the whole, the question both this year and next year, I think they can figure the point guard thing out amongst those two that I spoke of specifically. But who's that five? Is it there's Iwachukwu, there's Yakaya Milton who transferred in from Auburn. There's the Lithuania freshman Gerda.
yeah,
There's the
yeah,
Washington State transfer. There's Laura Williams. So like you have options there, and so who kind of comes from that pack to get that position. So in terms of the four, I think they'll be fine. Like once they figure out the point guard, the ball will flow. Everybody can score. They're very versatile defensively, very long with those four on the perimeter. Looking ahead to next year, and again, that's assuming everything stays the same, right? And everybody
yeah,
plays stuff. So, but no, she fits in well. Like,
yeah,
uh, again, very versatile, not just offensively but defensively.
yeah.
Uh, uh, with those four, once she comes in next year, and not to underrate, I'm telling you, USC is going to get really dangerous this year. Once they get some experience and figure out who's where and all that, like life without Juju for a little bit, obviously. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
gonna be some growth to be had there, but they'll figure that out.
I just did a video. I just did a non-conference breakdown, and I keep trying to tell people, not just because I'm biased USC, I am biased USC, and I totally
Uh-huh.
admit that. But when I look at it analytically and I look at everything on paper, I just think that people are underestimating USC this year. Because a lot of media folks, a lot of analysts don't even have them in the top 25, aren't even giving them top 5 in the Big 10. And my thing is, with Lindsay, being the coach that she is, and Beth Burns being the defensive guru that she is, and them knowing how to put together puzzles and make
Yeah.
it work, I just
Yeah.
think that people are underestimating this team.
Well, and that's probably, to be honest, a good position to be in,
Yep.
because when you lose, arguably the best player in the country, if not the best, one of the best players in the country, it's a natural reaction for people to say, "Hey, it's going to be a down year because the best players at least going to be out a significant amount of time, if not the whole time." So, and that allows them to build without pressure in my eyes. So, like if they did come in and they don't have Juju and they're still top five and all that, that's a lot, particularly for Jazzy, a freshman, to have to help shoulder along with Kennedy and the rest of the group. And so, if I'm, I don't want to speak for Lindsay and the staff and all that, but if I'm there, I don't really mind that,
Yeah,
considering the situation, right? Like,
absolutely.
yeah, it allows time to kind of grow without the microscope being under the microscope of the national level media following you
It,
early. And if you
yeah,
earn it, they're coming, right? If
yeah,
you are that good in January, then all those people, all that goes out the window, and
yeah.
and here comes the microscope.
It's almost like the Juju and the Ivies year. You know what I mean? When nobody
Yeah,
Nobody
Yeah,
thought JuJu was going to come in and help, or the Ivies, and the Ivies were so underrated.
for
I think
sure.
it's the same thing. I think if Yakia Milton, if she can progress this year and Gerda can come in and run that pick and roll like we know she knows how to run,
Yeah,
I think they're just underdogs. You know what I mean? The question
yeah,
is defensively if Milton and Gerda can, you know,
correct.
build their defensive like
Right.
like like Beth wants them to do.
Right. And again, you gotta let particularly Jazzy as a freshman, there's gotta be some room to grow into that because no matter how good you are, you don't understand what this is until you play it, right?
Yep.
And so particularly once you get to Big Ten play, like you got obviously you are taking on some USC's taking on some non-conference stuff, but particularly once you get to Big Ten play, like you gotta give Jazzy a little room to grow into her role. Like I feel very comfortable. Obviously, I think that's the underrated part in you from USC's scope of bringing in London Jones and Kara Dunn. That's a lot of experience that they've added and firepower offensively specifically. But yeah, so that also to what I'm speaking to gives Jazzy room, and I think that's what the media is doing too. To be fair, like I have no problem with from a fan base perspective. You put the chip on the shoulder and you go fight and all that. For sure, but I think it's probably best served in USC's case if they are underrated to be underrated,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah. I
yeah,
love it. I
yeah,
love it.
no doubt.
I mean, I'm on here. I talk shit every day,
Yeah,
about the haters, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I love it. I love being the underdog because it'll give
sure.
them a chance to grow and to learn and to come out and do a lot better than what people are expecting, in my opinion.
And you get to play the game. When
Yeah.
you're the favorite or the underdog, whatever your role may be, you get to play the game. So
Yeah.
there
Now,
you go.
before we get into you, because I do really, really want to talk to you about McDonald's All-American and Hoop
Yeah.
Girls, I really want to ask your opinion about what you think about the job Lindsay has done since she's been at USC, and you've known her for a long time, so
Yeah,
you've seen
yeah.
her
So,
grow as a coach. So
oh,
what are your thoughts?
yeah, speaking to our history, when Lindsay was at Cal many moons ago, she was recruiting Deja Kelly, who I'm very close with in the background, and may have very well it could have gone that way. Obviously, Deja ended up in North Carolina and then went to Oregon later on, but uh, Lindsay was very good in her Cal days there. When I first met her, obviously she got them rolling. Goes to the NBA, an opportunity obviously she couldn't pass up in Cleveland, and then coming to USC. I think uh, very competitive to start, and then obviously the game changer was getting JuJu.
Yeah.
And then once she landed JuJu, that put USC back on the national map, and then it's gone from there. She's had class after class now. Both not just the individuals at the top of the classes. When you talk Jazzy or you talk Kennedy before her, not just the players at the top of the class, but also the depth of the classes that's played out well for her, and then she's done well, kind of supplementing the portal. So obviously a tremendous job. I've been out there a couple of times to a couple of games. Uh, actually was at a tough loss to Washington. That was Juju's
Yeah,
freshman year at home, and
that was
then
terrible.
last year. I believe I was there for two. I was there for Illinois for sure. I feel like I saw a second game there, but it's escaping me right now. But anyway, uh, you could see the difference in the fan support too. Like there's obviously when you get a Juju type player and she's a homegrown type situation, it grew a lot for the fan base wise. It attracted a lot more people than were there when I first came to a game or so. So like in every way you can, she's grown the program. Visibility wise, obviously the wins and losses, the national level scope as we spoke, which began with Juju, and then Kennedy came and added it. Now we got Jazzy, and it's going to go to Saniyah, and then so on and on it goes. But yeah, she's done a great job in recruiting and building the depth of the program.
Yeah, I think that she gets underrated or not talk very highly of with regards to her coaching and the way she coached. And I think that she really coaches to her players' strengths. You know what I mean? And that might look different to a lot of people because last year she ran a read and react flow offense that was predicated on JuJu, reading, reacting to the defense and the offense. And a lot of people who don't understand X's and O's don't understand that per se. They're just going to the game to watch the basketball game. So I think that watching Lindsay coach, when she was at Cal all the way through USC, you tend to really admire what she does with her coaching and how
Oh,
she's really smart. You know what I mean
yeah.
when it comes to the X's and the O's.
Well, and I think you got to talk Beth Burns and the staff as
Yeah,
well. But Beth Burns is one of the best, if not the one of the very, very top associate head coaches in the country. And then, but
absolutely.
yeah, one thing about the depth of Lindsay too is she's worked at different levels. Obviously, the NBA level. She worked at the lower college level, working her way up and all that. And so she's had to adapt to all different types of talent levels and that kind of thing. And I think that served her really well, particularly going and having that year or two in the NBA and just
Hmm.
spacing specifically offensively is really different.
Yeah,
Uh, Obviously on the NBA level than it is at any level of women's basketball, including the WNBA. And so that spacing piece, I think, is it's kind of changed and it's helped her in terms of really coaching someone like a Juju, who's a potential number one pick, right? And like the NBA flow, as you talked about,
hmm,
making sure Juju gets her touches, but working that flow. So yeah, I agree. I agree. Very good in-game adjuster, and all the media attention you want comes as you win on bigger and bigger stages, right? So
yeah,
uh, as the program continues to grow, so will her profile.
yeah. Now I want to segue into number one recruits and all that kind of stuff, and let's talk about McDonald's All American and Hoop Girls and what your affiliation is, and more so how you guys make decisions on who should be McDonald's All Americans? Is it just, points scored or, you know what I mean? What goes
Oh,
into
not at
that?
all. Yeah. So there's first of all, there's a committee, right? There's not any individual that makes that final, but there's a committee of somewhere around. It changes year over year, but usually around 17, 18, so 15 to 20
For
to be.
McDonald's or for Hoop Girls? What we talking about
Oh, for
first?
McDonald's. I'm sorry,
Okay.
for
Okay. Yeah.
McDonald's. And
Okay.
so there's voting for different people from all different regions of the country that watch. Some of them are more focused in the summer. Some of them are everybody watches year round, but some of them are more summer intensive. Some of them are more high school intensive. So it gives you a lot of different variation of taste and what people think. So uh, there's a voting system to it where it starts with somewhere around 80 to 100 players, and then it works its way down over three or four voting evolutions to the final number of 24. And again, everybody that's on the committee has a voice, has a vote. Everybody's votes equal type situation, and so the cream of the crop. You gotta I think you got to have a name out there of having enough games against other names to
Hmm.
get yourself on that stage. But there's all different ways of doing that. Again, it's not just summer ball. It's not just high school ball. It's a little bit of all of it, right? At USA basketball, obviously, people have their eyes towards that and who makes those teams. And then, like we talked with Saniyah, obviously on the older stage, well, on the U19 level, how they do it. But there's USA basketball from the U16 level on up, 16, 17, 18, and that's
Hmm.
paid attention to too, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different uh, platforms to use. It's not one platform over the other type thing, and it's not one voice over the other. We got high level high school coaches, we got directors of very successful summer clubs. You got guys like us that run media type stuff, and so it's a mixture of everybody, a mixture of all different types of voices.
And when do you guys make that final decision?
That varies year over year, but somewhere around the year turn, so somewhere in that early January ish. It can go all the way to February, but somewhere from end of the year to the beginning of February, somewhere in that area, because you gotta be able. to coordinate the logistics of it and getting the players flights and
Yeah.
family hotels and all that stuff. So you got to give people enough time to get all that part of it done as well.
I forgot about that part. A lot of
Yeah,
money.
yeah, yeah. It's not just you hand them and then they're there
Yeah,
to
yeah.
stay. Like if they make it, and people's families want to come, obviously, and all that. So there's a whole coordination to it in the background.
And that's all paid for by the sponsor? I mean,
For the
families don't
most
have to
part,
pay?
like I don't even know all of that, the details of all of that ins and out. But yes, for the most part, like I don't think I think there's probably a limit on number of who the sponsor plays for travel wise and who has to pay their own way. Like you can't bring everybody type thing. But and again, I don't even all the way know that cutoff because there's people that's their job. Now I'm
Yeah,
not that person, but
yeah.
yeah, there's definitely they're definitely well taken care of for sure.
Now, what's the biggest difference between Jordan Brand Classic and McDonald's All? Now I know McDonald's All American is McDonald's All American, but now they
Yeah,
got the
it's
Jordan Brand
just a
Classic.
lot more historical value, and there's different people that do it. Like I don't, there may be, and I'm not aware of it, but I don't know that there's a blend of voters on both. I think McDonald's has their voters, and I think Jordan Brand has. I don't even know. I'm not involved in Jordan Brand, so I don't know how their process works the way I do McDonald's. But
Yeah,
yeah, just the only difference is two different stages. Obviously, it's a lot of the same players that make both a lot of times, but it's just stage value more than anything else.
now they got Overtime Select, right? The
Yeah,
big, yeah, and
I'm a
that
big fan
seems,
of. Yeah,
yeah,
so I didn't know what to think, what to make of overtime select when it first came. Let's see, let's see how it goes. I went for the first time last year. I'm going next weekend to the championships, and I only go to championship weekend, but I was really impressed. The kids
yeah,
took it serious. Like it was highly competitive. And like if you know anything about summer ball, well, there's circuits. You got Nike, the EYBL Nike circuit. You got
yeah,
Adidas circuit. You got Under Armour. You got Power 24, which is like the independent clubs basically. And so it's the best of the best amongst those circuits for the most part. Like
yeah,
they probably get 90% of the top kids, I would say it feels like of the top, and so and you see them play have to adapt to a team where they're not always the alpha, right?
yeah,
And you have to work
yeah,
with other alphas, kind of what we're talking about the future of USC. They're gonna have to
yeah,
have that point guard situation. Everybody touch the ball, and so there's that part of it. And like I said, I went last year, and it was highly competitive. The way they treat the players, the environment they're in, that actual gym, they put invested a lot of money into it.
yeah,
Uh, and so no, I'm all for OT. Like I'm,
yeah. It seems
yeah,
like it's growing. I mean, and they put the games on YouTube, so I was
yeah,
catching
yeah.
some of the
Everybody gets to
games.
watch. They've done a great job
Yeah,
with getting it out to
yeah,
media instead of so many times. Even you'll know this following college so much. Like we put things on like Flow Hoops or something. It's hard to
yeah,
find.
yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and like
Yeah,
you're trying to figure out how the hell you can watch a game. They've done a
yeah,
really good job of making it simple.
yeah,
Right? Just go to
yeah,
YouTube and click on the game. And
yeah,
so, no, all the things, it's like all the details like that you're leading to, the player treatment, the arena, what you're talking about, putting it on YouTube and making it accessible and all that. They've done a great job with all the details.
yeah. And then they what's interesting about OTE is they do all the all-star stuff before the actual tournament, right? So they have
Yeah,
the this year was
and like
flow.
I
Yeah,
love the All Star stuff as much as anybody. I'm a fan. It's good for me because I don't need to see that part of it so much.
yeah,
Right. And again, I have no problem with them doing it. Have fun and all that. That's not what I need to be a part of. And
yeah,
then I wait for it to get serious and I go. So I appreciate that part.
yeah,
That by the time I get there on championship weekend, it's pretty serious. Like the tone last year was serious business.
yeah, yeah.
Serious. So I'm looking forward to it next weekend.
Yeah, I watched a game on YouTube last weekend and it was very competitive. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
and those girls are intense. I mean, they're
Oh yeah.
like,
Yeah,
you
you're trying
know,
to win. And
yeah, you know,
like it's an elimination of it, two of them from last weekend advanced, two of them didn't. And so
yeah,
like if you it's a win or go home type situation. And
yeah,
so that makes for real basketball. So no, again, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan of
yeah, yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about Hoop Girls and how that all comes about and how you guys vote on that. And Are you on like not just 2026, but I think what there's a top 60
Yeah,
3 years. Yeah.
for
How does all that
2027.
work? Yeah.
Yeah, so we have for your seniors to be, so in this case, Saniyah Hall's class 2026, we have a top 100 that comes out after the spring. We expand from 60 to 100. Then when you go one segment down, so the 27s, they went at the same time from 25 to 60.
Hmm.
Okay. And then your sophomores go from watch list, like it's just an alphabetical order your freshman year, to 25 in order, the initial 25 in order. And there's variety, like kids get passed, uh, some kids, everybody's growth period and all that in their games and in their bodies and all that is different. And so if you go look at that initial watch list of Saniyah Hall's class, for instance, back in they were 23, they were freshmen, and in a 26 class in the final 100, there's going to be a lot of variance, right?
Yeah.
There's a huge variance, and you can see that in the past because things change year over year over year, and then that'll also continue in college. Like I think we've done pretty well in our years as it. We've had um JuJu, Lauren Betts, JuJu, Sarah Strong as
Yeah.
our number ones, and it's worked down. So I think we've hit on that for the most part.
Yeah.
And obviously we got Jazzy coming, and then Saniyah holds the number one for the 26s. So uh, so there's a lot of work. There's three main gentlemen involved: Shane Laughlin, Kenneth Pinnell, and myself. And there's film, there's analytics. Like I just talked about, we look at all the different. We look at you in summer ball. We look at you in high school. We look at you at USA basketball. Uh, Last year, I personally take. Everybody has a different take on this, but I think that overtime, because it's all select kids, so that has a say in it.
Yeah.
We have a huge camp, uh, Wooten Camp, which are the people that run McDonald's, but that's another platform where a lot of the top kids, not all, but a lot of the top kids are competing against each other. So
Hmm.
take that into the equation. So like, yeah, we try to give everybody a fair shake in terms of time and how many times we look at them, and then we back that up with our eyes and what we see. We back that up with analytics. There's a tool out there called Cerebro. It's a growing brand that we use quite a bit that does a lot of analytics of both elite high school matchups and of summer ball matchups. And so uh, just try to take as we can uh, the most holistic view possible, and make that decision from there. And again, I would say the last 5 years, starting from top to bottom, and you're not going to hit exactly on the top 100, every 100 kid right in the order they should be, obviously. But I think we've done a very good job when you go look at our top overall. Our hit rate's really, really good.
Yeah. Let me ask you something.
Bet.
Jazzy was number 3 for most of the year, and then in the final hoop
Mm-hmm.
girls, you guys pushed her to number 1. What made you guys? What
The
what came to? Yeah.
versatility, yeah, like there was a step, and somewhat still on the college level. It's the biggest jump in there's three major jumps in a elite prospect's career. The biggest jump is from college to the WNBA. The second biggest jump is elite high school, whatever summer ball high school. I'm putting that all in one
Hmm.
to college, right? And it's right behind it. And those two by far the biggest. The third being 16U to 17U. Like that's a minor version of the other two. But the physicality part, I thought she's getting better and better in terms of being able to hold defensively, hold her strength, play with a lower base, and that's because you're stronger. Uh, and then offensively, like there was times younger that she would kind of float. Uber talented, but there was moments of floating, right? Uh, and I thought she was super assertive, particularly midway midway through her junior year on. Because like one thing people don't realize is we don't re-rank a lot. So there's a
Hmm.
lot of
Yeah.
information in between the times we re-rank. So October of last year, October of 25, uh, she was at number three. That was the October, and then we do it again at the end of the high school season. I think it came out in April, if I remember right. But that like she took control. She took the bull by the horns, so to
Yeah.
speak. And it wasn't anything that the other two, Aaliyah Chavez and Sienna Betts, didn't do necessarily. It's
Aaliyah Chavez was mad though.
yeah,
She was salty. Go ahead though.
I go, yeah, and like, hey, she could turn it out right in college. Like if she
Yeah.
comes and puts it up, and Oklahoma wins the Madison Championship, you
Yeah.
win. Yeah, it is. But they're Aaliyah's a very good player. She's a
Yeah.
franchise kid, just like Jazzy is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, understandably so. And these kids, I like, to be honest with you, I like. I don't like the fact that we necessarily they get upset with us necessarily, but I like fire.
Yeah.
Right. And so Jazzy wanted to, Jazzy kind of she handles it herself a little differently, I'd say.
Yep.
But she wanted to be number one too. So does
Yeah.
Sienna. But
Yeah.
you don't get to that level by not pursuing that goal as
Yeah.
part of it. And so and like, either one of those could very well it could prove. I'm not wishing that on any of them, but that thing could go any direction because college you start all over again. That
Yeah.
that number you put next to your name and all that, it means nothing come day one tip. All
Yeah.
of that's out the window.
What do you think Sienna Betts needs to improve on?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is the right hand, and it's slowly getting better, but she's heavy left-handed. I thought she was really good though at AmeriCup. Like she was the linchpin
Yeah.
of of that AmeriCup team, along with Hidalgo, obviously Hidalgo and Miles, but her and Hidalgo were probably the linchpins of that, and so just she's so good with kind of we call it the Dirk one-footed shot and all that, but be a little more physical, finishing through contact and the right hand. That's really it. But she's really really good, like really good, and can be
Yeah.
what she wants to be as a big.
Do you think that she's going to play well alongside her sister? I mean, I'm looking that dynamic to me is interesting. I'm
Yeah,
interested to
well,
see what.
it's kind of what I'm talking about with Jazzy. The thing it does afford her the opportunity to do is kind of grow both with and under. So all the pressure isn't on her to play 32 minutes, 32 plus minutes as a freshman. She can probably play 20 to 25, and if needed, or if playing well 32, but because they have her sister, she doesn't have to carry the load and they don't have an option behind her.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so yeah, why it'll be interesting for a year, freshman, you're better off, having depth both in front of and beside freshmen than you are not. Because
Yeah.
it's a lot harder to handle than people realize.
Yeah. I just caught something you said. You said that Sienna she played with the U19 team, not the America team. Right? Did she play with the America? She played with the U19.
I
She
think you
played
got
with
that right. Yeah,
yeah, she
yeah, yeah.
played with Jazzy and
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah. My bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was
I
okay. Yeah.
mixed that up in my head, but yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But she was a linchpin in that on that team.
yeah, she definitely she
Thank you for
averaged the
catching
most.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she definitely averaged the most minutes and everything. Where I thought, I mean, I think Sienna's a phenomenal player, and I think she's going to be great. Where I thought she struggled was against more competitive teams that had bigger post.
Yeah.
She's really good with the smaller teams and does that little turnaround
Right.
fade, but against teams that had bigger posts, she really struggled, and you could see the frustration, like her frustration, which didn't help her. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
think she's going to learn under her sister, and,
Oh,
and
of
I,
course. And she's an elite rebounder and a
yeah,
fiery competitor. So, like, again, like any freshman, and Jazzy included, they don't come in perfect for the
right,
college level, right? Like, there's things to work on. But no, she's a fiery rebounder. And again, they just don't win it without it. She was a linchpin of that team.
yeah,
So for what there are, for whatever maybe things she needs to work on, sure there are, but there's also a lot of positives in her performance as well. Like
yeah.
she is extremely physical.
Yeah. I think you bring up, you talk about physicality. Jazzy, is long and slim. And people say that she's going to struggle in college, but look at DeWanna Bonner. There are a lot of
Oh,
slim.
for sure. And she's wiry strong.
Yeah.
So like, there's something real to, and she'll get stronger. She'll add like actual muscle. She's never
Hmm.
going to be thick
Right.
necessarily, but she's gonna be yoked. Like
Yeah.
she's gonna be wiry strong within just probably already, but
Yeah.
certainly within her freshman year, she does strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't worry about that at all. Like again, I do think her body's still growing. Uh,
Hmm.
is I do think she got stronger in her base specifically over the course, from her junior to senior year over that course of a year or so. And that, like I said, that allowed her to play lower in her posture, which is a
Hmm.
big deal from her because then if she gets underneath you, then she really uses her length in terms of you trying to get around her left or right.
Yeah.
Uh, and so she's already, I would say, gained on that strength piece, and that's only going to get further developed at
Yeah.
USC.
And she's so smooth too. And the one thing I like about Jazzy is her personality, she's so quiet. She reminds me like Juju of her freshman year. She doesn't say much. She just comes in and she just does what she's told
Which
to do, you know?
Which with the experience that USC has on this roster, when you add in what they did in the portal there, as I mentioned earlier, and all that, it's probably a good thing,
Yeah.
right? Like be the talented freshman, let things play out, and like I said, that's an advantage for UCLA, yeah, for Oklahoma, for Chavez is they're really talented around them, and it's going to allow all three of them and beyond to ease into the roles instead of having to come in and really do it all themselves early. That's very, very hard to do on the college level. And
Yeah.
so I think her personality is probably going to be a strength, particularly early. Like they'll bring it out of her as far as making sure she talks on the floor and growing in her relationships with her teammates and that kind of thing. But no, for all of them, having teammates that experience around you and all it's very useful your freshman year.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, segueing into let's look at the landscape of high school basketball with NIL. What just talk about what your thoughts are and how NIL is affecting high school recruits as
And
opposed to the portal and
it's something I talk to coaches with 24/7, and it's ever evolving. So what's interesting about this is today is what August 7th, uh, is what I tell you on August 7th may be different. You call if we do this again January 7th, it may be a little different because it's forever evolving. And so don't take anything anybody says as this is how it's going to be forever because it's a moving target. I think I think that we had kind of a free for all. In my personal opinion, there wasn't enough uh, legislation put in front of enough rules. And
right.
so, whether that was intentional or not, that brought about just everybody working it a little differently because there wasn't a lot of ruling as to what you could or couldn't do.
Yeah.
And then that led to a bubble, which we're now getting, it looks like on the backside again. Things can change on me, but it looks like we're getting out of the bubble, but that bubble of overspending and some of the numbers are speculation. Some of the numbers are to a certain point at least true. I don't even know them for a fact. Like people will publish it and we think that's the number. The only people that know are the two people involved. But I think some of
Yeah.
them are at least within the ballpark, right?
Yeah.
And so that wasn't, I think we all, if you have any kind of common sense toward it, you knew that wasn't a sustainable model. Like there, we don't as a sport, women's basketball doesn't produce enough revenue to be paying those kids those amount of money,
Right.
right? It's just common sense, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so it had to come to an end sooner rather than later. It appears like that market's going way down in terms of the school. Now, what's going to be interesting to me is the true NIL piece.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll circle back to I told as I mentioned, I have a very close relationship with Deja Kelly, who's done really well in the NIL space. Nothing to do with any school paying her, it's pure NIL, right? And and having this situation where they're gonna a clearinghouse basically is supposed to approve what you
Yeah.
can or can't do. And
Yeah.
I just don't know how that's going to hold up in court when it gets fought, because it's just a matter of time. It's going to probably come from football. But
Mm-hmm.
let's just say in the clearinghouse, a car dealership, a local car dealership wants to pay somebody, and the clearinghouse says for whatever reason it's not approved. I don't know how that's plausible in my mind, because when you put that in front of a federal judge, say, uh, and you're fighting it, if somebody offers you money, I don't know how you can stop somebody from giving that to them. That's
Yeah.
outside the entity. Now, if it funnels through the college, totally.
Yeah.
That not only can be regulated through revenue share, which is what we're doing. It should be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, these colleges will spend themselves out of a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
But we
that's
see some colleges are having
starting to
problems
close
right
down
now.
athletics. Yeah, it's gonna happen. But anyway, um, so I think that clearinghouse thing is going to be an interesting one to watch, because I just get it again. It like will like always, not just women's basketball, men's basketball, baseball, whoever. It's going to be a football that is going to make it to the federal judge level, most likely in my eyes first, and then whatever precedent they set, we'll live with.
Yeah.
Right? That's how I see, because of the money involved on the football level.
Yeah.
So I think that's a way, though, that a lot of money can still be made, and has been, and it's a great thing. I think the shoe companies are getting more and more involved. You have Saniyah Hall has a Jordan brand deal.
Yeah.
Uh, you have the number one 2027 in the country, who's from California. Kalina Smith has an
Yep.
Adidas deal. And so the shoe companies, like, you got to be at the very top tier right now, but they are seeing value and giving these kids some sort of, it's various levels, but some sort of sponsorship deal. And those are quite lucrative. Like
Yeah.
those can uh, those can be really supplemental to whatever it is that the college can pay them under the revenue share formula. And I think that's the way it's got to work. Is the school has a set amount, whatever that may be, right? And I think for those out there, the school is given, as of today, it's like 21 million for simple math. It's a
Right.
little bit, but
Right.
the school's
Right.
given 21 million. Then the athletic department, most likely the athletic director, gets to give each particular sports program what they want to. They can cut that pie however they want to. On the
Yeah.
major level, on the lower level, you don't have to go out. Whatever you decide to spend, you have to self-generate, right? So you don't have to go to 21 million. You can only have 10 million in some courses, or 5 million, whatever that number may be, because that's all your school can come up with, and then can raise, and then you split that pie accordingly, right?
Yeah.
And so there's gonna be some interesting dynamics to it. But I think the regulation piece is hugely important, and I think we're at least starting down that line
Mm-hmm.
with revenue share. It gives us some structure, which I think was sorely needed.
Yep.
Uh, and then I think the other way, I think deregulating what kids do with NIL. If a company wants to give a kid money, good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. You
That
can't
it's
control that.
outside.
Yeah.
I just don't see how a judge is going to overrule that. So yeah, so obviously it makes this a serious business younger, right?
Yeah.
There's good and bad to that. It does take away a little bit of the essence of the game, and letting kids earn it all the way up to the college level, but definitely at the high school level. But you get to earn money, and when money gets involved, things get real. That's in any spectrum in life.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely been some like positive and negative repercussions, unintended consequences, all the things, uh, to handing people money, pursuing money, all of that. And so that part of it's just a new part of the game. It's why you see USC's done it, but you see so many schools hiring a GM. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
some are sports specific. Some I'm starting to see a lot of. Like Notre Dame has a basketball GM that does men's and women's. And
Mm-hmm.
so they're a little bit different, but there's a lot of similarities too. And they can see the changing market from both sides, right? And I
Yeah.
don't think there's a right or wrong way to do any of that stuff. But it's the business of basketball. And once we open Pandora's box with it, I don't see it going back. So whatever rules or laws there are or aren't, you're going to have to figure out how to navigate. And the ones that adapt will be continue to be great programs, and the ones that don't adapt and want it to be the old way are going to struggle because there's no going back. It is what it is.
How do you think agents affect this whole dynamic?
Man, it's very interesting. I actually spoke to Lindsay about this on a particular situation earlier today. But I think agents in the right situation, absolutely, they can protect you. I
Yeah.
think much like what we talked about with the need of regulation of the onset of the NIL space that they didn't do. They didn't regulate agents either. And I think if we vetted them and there was some sort of NCAA approval process to make sure they were legitimate, then there is a place specifically for them. I've heard, and you never know what's exactly true or what's not. But I heard of an agent recently that charged a kid 35%.
That's crazy.
Yeah, if that's true, that's asinine.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I don't
It's
want to
just taking
assume
advantage of the whole situation, because they
thousands
don't
of
they
somebody
don't
that
care
doesn't
about the
know, and
kid.
all they know is they're getting something. They don't
Yeah.
realize that they could have got a lot more,
Yeah.
right? And so we got to make sure that we protect the student athletes, like in that way. If we're gonna do this, let's do it right. I think that's just common sense, right? And so I think there needs to be just like that, like I said, like the NIL space. And now that we have revenue share and more regulation, I think there needs to be more and more regulation of agents. And the ones that do it right, absolutely, because they're going to negotiate, whether it be with the school or it be these outside entities that can pay. They're
Hmm.
going to negotiate the best deal for you. That's what they do. And
Yeah.
so there's and they can make their percentage off that. I don't think any of us have a problem with that, but I think we do have a problem with the people we perceive, at least, uh, to be vultures. Like we
Yeah.
got to be very protective of that, and I think we will be as college coaches. Like they didn't get into college coaching to be business agents and all that.
Right.
And
Right.
if they hear that one of their kids possibly got ripped off or that kind of thing, they're going to fight back. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so I think everybody, like the greater good, will work out with this stuff. And if we look for the negative, we're going to find the negative in anything. But there's more positive to the NIL than there is negative, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be growing pains. That's where we're at. It's new, but there's more positive than negative, and we gotta handle it right. I think we could have done a better job of startup of bringing this process on, but we are where we are, so we got to fix it for where we are now. And I do think, like I said, I think revenue shares a huge. At least it gives us structure. So that's a
Yeah.
huge first step at the very least.
Yeah. My last question to you, because I know you got to get off and go do
Yeah.
your scouting things, is um how do you think the portal is affecting high school recruiting? Do you think more coaches are waiting?
Yeah. So I think yes and no. I think 1 to 2 years ago, and including this year, absolutely. Like because we were in that free market with no rules that I was just speaking of.
Yeah.
Uh, like it was kids were smart enough to understand if they got in the portal, it would be a feeding frenzy. And
Yeah.
so the kids, whether it be the kids or agents or whatever, they read the market right and knew, hey, even though I may like my situation here, I can leverage this. And whether I stay here or go somewhere else, I'm going to make more for my services. Right. And they were absolutely correct. Well, now there's two things I think are going to happen. It's going to go the other way. I'm still waiting for the precedent to get set in our sport, but I think somebody's going to come out with 2 to 3 year contracts of I'm going to give you so much money uh, per year, and if you don't hold up that money, then you have to give me so much back or something, to
Yeah.
where there's a little bit of kickback
Yeah.
and a little bit of changing of the power dynamic, right?
We
And
call
so,
that return on investment. We
no
want a
doubt.
return on our investment. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that may be coming in some sort, and I'm waiting for it. We'll see one step at a time with all that. So a little bit of that leverage play, and then I think that lost my train of thought there real quick.
The,
Uh,
the portal affecting the high school kids.
oh yeah, and I think that less and less kids, because remember, kids jumped in the portal because of the feeding frenzy, and they knew. Well, I think if you're making money. Two things. If you're making money and you're happy, it's not gonna do you a lot of good to get back in because you're not gonna make a lot more money because there's a salary
Right.
cap and a revenue share.
Right.
So you're only gonna make so much money off the school,
Yeah.
right? So maybe there's endorsement deals around the school that help do that, but like we'll see. The other one is the traditional transfer, which this was initially intended to help. That they're not playing as much and all that. Well, what if you are getting paid and they don't come back in? Now there are coaches that are telling me they're going to say if you don't live up to your contract, since it's only a 1 year deal, we're going to lower that deal.
Smart.
So, but here's the thing: is if I'm a kid and I didn't do what I didn't play as much as I anticipated, whatever the reasoning may be, do I get in that portal to make less, or do I, like so now there's a downside to it, whereas before it was only upside
Yeah.
to get in the
So
portal.
so how does that affect the coaches with recruiting high school? You know,
I mean, as far as numbers, I think high school has become more attractive again because here's the other thing, and I tweeted this during the live period. The best thing you can do as an incoming freshman that's being recruited is present yourself without the money. Whatever comes to you, you're good, knowing that I can earn future. Because what college coaches see is if I can pay a freshman, which you should pay a freshman a little bit less. If I can pay them less, then I can pay my to be seniors or maybe one portal kid more.
yeah.
And so if for the ones that for the freshmen that aren't all about the dollar from the jump, they're more attractive than ever because they fit under a salary cap is
Yeah.
basically right. And so it's swinging back. It'll never be all high school recruiting like it once was. And then it swung all the way from all high school recruiting to portal recruiting in high school afterthought. We're coming back to the middle, and we're still probably slightly towards the portal, but it's closer than it was, much closer than it was 2 years ago. And I
Yeah.
think that's about what it's going to be. We may not all the way get to the middle, but we may just slightly go towards the portal. And at the end of the day, it's about getting the best collection of talent, no matter how you do it. Some people are going to go freshmen because they feel like they can get a talented group for a cheaper price, as I just mentioned, or whatever it may be. Some people are going to go only portal. There's going to be those outliers, but a lot
Yeah.
of people are going to mix and match where
Yeah.
they can, and they're going to take. But for the most part, everybody I've on the major level I've talked to is taking somewhere around three freshmen. Some like there's a couple of variances that are a little higher, a couple of variances a little lower, but it's about three freshmen, which is what it was at the 5 years ago before
Yeah.
the onset of all this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's swung back to the middle. Like it can still be tough in terms of your level of recruitment. Like a kid that might have been on, say, a P4 platform may slide to a mid major that wouldn't have happened 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, but that's probably the biggest. Like now that we're starting to swing back, that's probably the biggest change from 5 years ago when there was no portal,
Yeah.
right? Is that player that's in the gray area, like are they P4, are they mid, good player? It doesn't really affect the high end player, and it doesn't affect the mid and below player, if that makes sense as much. It's that
Yeah.
gray area.
Well, okay, one more question, then I'm gonna let you go for real. Because
All
I
right.
forgot to ask you this. Lindsay brought on Nikki Blue. What are your thoughts?
Well, of course, you got a pro
Yeah.
that's very good in recruiting first and foremost, and then you can never have enough I've lived it experience. Obviously, the things she's done as a player, her resume speaks for itself. Typically though, they've been on the floor very recently, and all that, and so
Yeah.
they bring a live element and fresh perspective and all that to any program. And again, and from a recruiting and from a execution standpoint of game day, game planning, and all that, you can never have enough uh, players that have been there, done that. It just helps convey your message to the players.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different tone when a player is talking to a player than it
Yeah.
is than it is someone you perceive as coach. And like 95% of the coaches, elder coaches, even I'm not calling you elder, Lindsay, but of the elder coaches have played,
Yes,
but
you
they
are.
haven't played. They haven't played in a timeline that the players that they're coaching could adapt to or realize, right?
Yeah.
Blue, they do. When you have somebody of that ilk and of that timeline and all that, like she can pull up games that she's played in and situations she's been in like that are just like yours. So can't ever have enough pros running program for sure,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. So great hire, makes all the sense in the world.
The last question I have for you, is that a Tennessee hat?
That is a Texas Rangers hat.
Okay, because I was getting ready to say, how
I
you
would
gonna come
never
on
do
this
you
show
that.
that Tennessee?
I wouldn't do that to anybody. I don't have favorites with that, with what I do. I'm friends of women's basketball. I don't have a favorite program or none of that, but I am a diehard Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers fan. I'm from
Oh
Dallas.
my God, Dallas
Diehard.
Cowboys.
Oh, diehard.
Dallas Cowboys. You got to pick a new team because they're just. I don't
Never
know what's
gonna
wrong
happen.
with the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh no, I'll just die in misery. That's fine.
I
It
have
is
a
never gonna
friend.
happen.
I actually have a friend, and he is a California guy, and he
Yeah.
loves Dallas Cowboys. I mean, he'll fly to Dallas to go watch them
Yeah.
play, and I'm like, Todd, you can't. How you gonna vote for? How you gonna be a
Uh,
Dallas Cowboys fan? And he
well,
just,
and obviously they do their training camp in Oxnard, so there's a segment of
yeah,
fans there because they're there every year in Oxnard, California. But no, global brand, baby. It's the biggest brand
yeah,
in the world. We are what we
whatever.
are. But no, no disrespect in any way. No, I don't
No,
want no
no,
heat. I don't
no.
want no heat. This is Texas Rangers, baby. This is baseball.
No heat, but hey, you gotta let me know when you're coming out here so we can get together
No
and
doubt.
chop
No
it
doubt.
up.
Great
Okay?
times, man. Great
Yeah.
times and best of luck this year. And we'll circle back and I'll jump back on sometime during the year.